Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday noon, which means it is time to talk about coping with our feelings. And for those of you who don't know, I am in a hotel room, and I will talk to you more about that. But my house caught on fire a week ago, just over a week ago now, a week ago yesterday. And a lot of what I've been talking about is how am I coping with all that has changed in my life, because the fire was bad enough that I've been displaced. I am going to be living in a hotel for probably about a month. And then after that, hi Jeannie, after that I'm going to be probably moving into an apartment. So there are a lot of different things. Thanks for finding the new stream, people. Just when I went to go live, it had a little moment. So, but what I do know about DearMamaSal viewers, if they want to find me, they will. I'm trying to work out how to actually get this link up onto my never mind. They'll work it out. If they want to be here, they'll find me, right? Hi there, Jody, as well, and Sandy. So this is all about helping you and those that you know cope with life as life is, not as you want it to be. I assure you, I did not want to have a fire. So it's not about coping with life as you want it to be. It's about, can you cope with life as it is? Thank you for the comment about the top. I'll try and get rid of the varicose veins. You know something? I am now, of course, I'm going to completely mess it up, aren't I? Thank you, Jean. So here is the thing. Life as we want it is never quite the same as life as it is, right? And so, first of all, I am pretty sure, and I'd just like to make sure that before I do the broadcast, that I give my thoughts and prayers for the Trump family. That it is bad enough that they are sort of gearing up for an election during a pandemic, but now for the family to be affected with the pandemic, obviously is heartbreaking as human beings. But I was pleased to hear that as of this morning, I believe young Baron is okay. Hi, Kimmy, good to see you. So I also want to say my very sincere thanks to the Hilton Group, because I want to tell you that they worked very hard this morning to make sure that I had high-speed internet so that I could broadcast. Don't you love that? Seriously. And so I just want to really appreciate what they did for me. And I'm going to talk more about them in a little bit because, they are part of my experience. So today's topic is about coping with stress and focusing on feelings of being unprepared. And I don't know about the rest of you, but when I feel unprepared, I also feel overwhelmed. Do any of you relate to that? So what I wanted to sort of talk about is, where did I feel prepared and where didn't I? Jody sent me a great quote just before we went live, and it said, when the unexpected meets the unprepared, over there, we find the greatest astonishments. Now, Jeannie, who's in the room with us, and by the way, if you are viewing for the first time, please know that come in and chat with us if you would like to. Just know that what I say stays on the broadcast. When it goes for replay afterwards, whatever I'm talking about, you're going to hear. I will disconnect the chat, if I remember. I will disconnect the chat normally within an hour of the broadcast being over. But, what I say. So if you want to come and join the chat, all the regular viewers know how to do that. They know that if they don't want me talking about it, then they might want the room to know about it, in which case they'll say, Sal, don't mention it. Or if I think it's something that other people will be interested in, I'll leave it for a little bit and then go, I heard a story the other day about whatever. First of all, I want you to know, did I make latte? Mm-hmm. Now, I want to tell you that it takes great talent to make latte with a microwave. Okay, I wanted to get back to Jeannie because Jeannie's been through this and she had her whole house go. And she's just in the process of rebuilding her house. I was very fortunate. Only 1/3 of my house, touch wood, was affected. The whole house was affected by smoke damage, but only one house was actually affected by the flames. One house, one third was affected by the flames. So I must say that I've been very, very lucky. So Jeannie, whenever you hear me talk about my experience, know that, oh, that's interesting. Know that I know you had a much more difficult one. Jeannie's saying that she actually also had a good experience with the Hilton for a month. Yes, and I will talk about it a little bit more. I'm not in the Hilton straight. I'm in, the sort of business side of that more. But I will definitely talk about it. Kimmy's saying she's doing a little better. Yes, and just give a heads up for those of you who don't know, Kimmy's Yoda passed away this week. So, of course, you're still sad, Kimmy. We would be shocked if you were not still sad, right? You'll be sad for years. That never leaves it. So I just do want to say that I am so glad I made the move to come here to this hotel. First of all, I don't know if you can see how bright it is. And bright affects my mood, right? So that's the first really appealing thing for me. I've got lights here, but I really don't need them. And it's just like, yay. Where I was before, I was on the ground level, so I needed to keep the curtains closed, otherwise people could see my equipment. And I don't mean my personal equipment, I mean my technology equipment. So there's no ways I was opening up my curtains on a ground floor type situation. Now, it is possible that they had one-way glass on there, but I'm not sure, and I wasn't about to find out. Now then, let's see how inventive you are. You can probably see that behind me, I have a little kitchenette. And I know that you guys are always so nosy. Hi, Sharon. So here we have a 2-ring burner, and that's my ice bucket. You all know why I've got the ice bucket. If you want free filtered water at a hotel, go get ice and let it melt. So there's my filtered water supply. And then I obviously got a little sink. I've got a coffee maker. The little smoothie maker I did buy. And then there's my bread for Sandy. My bread is busy, ready for today. And I know, Sandy. You want to see how am I doing that with a fry pan? I bet, right? You want to see it? It was so cute. I'm making little flatbreads, like this, and every night, and just having it with cream cheese. So, you're not going to stop me being who I am. You know that. I got my latte, and I'm making my daily bread. Now, I'm actually, next time I go shopping, which will be Saturday, I'm actually going to pick up a little Dutch oven that I can also use in my place when I get it back. But I got lots of news for you. Yes, the Hilton coffee is extremely good, Jeannie. No, good point. Yes, let me show you what they give you. I've never heard of it before. Oops. But this is the coffee that they've got, and it's really good. All right, what's Jody saying? Sal, it's awesome that you can keep up that part of your routine in your daily life, my latte and my bread making. Okay, so Jody, why? It's good that you notice that that's what I'm concentrating on doing. Sharon says, I'm here for entertainment and laughs. Why, Sharon? What's happened, honey? Or is it just that we normally make you laugh? All right, but Why am I concentrating so hard at keeping little things like my daily latte and my daily bread? And I want to make sure you all understand that there's a really good reason. And by the way, before the broadcast today, I went out to go and get some fresh air. And, that's also part of it. All right, Jody's saying less stress. It's normalcy. No, it's a difficult word to say. Normalcy. Normalcy. Yes, I want to tell you that one of the most important things about your mental health is to be normal. When you're under incredibly difficult circumstances, yes, Sharon's great as well. Trying to keep some part of normal. So that's what I do. I'm trying to get up at the normal time, actually earlier than normal, because otherwise I miss breakfast. You want to know what I have for breakfast? All right, I've had a little discussion. It's very interesting. Some of you would have seen this in a comment that I made, but I found out yesterday that they have like a brown bag breakfast, and it consists of an apple, a bottle of water, which I don't need, a bottle of water, and a piece of cake about this big. And one day it's sort of like vanilla cake with blueberries in it and so forth. But it's about 300 calories, people. And when you read the instructions, most of it's sugar. So being who I am, I popped down to my dear friend Simon, who's looking after me here. And I said, Simon, I just need to have a little chat with you. I'm pre-diabetic. As much as I love this, I'm not allowed to have it, really. So, and if I have it in the bag, I will eat it. And so therefore, I need to know if the hotel can help me. You see, that's how I word things. Now, I went down to get breakfast this morning and found out that I still had, in the brown bag, there still was exactly the same sort of thing. But I heard that starting next week, they are changing the breakfasts. And I said, really? What are they going to give us? And she said, no, we're working at a more balanced breakfast with a boiled egg and da-da-da-da. And I went, I guess I made a difference. So you see, some of you probably would never have had a little moment and said, you would have been grateful for what you got. Me, I'm going, and I did say to Simon, I'm pre-diabetic, and I just think I have the right to be able to eat breakfast the same as anybody else that isn't pre-diabetic. Do you understand? So I have the confidence to believe that. And so it appears that not only will I get a better and more healthy breakfast, but so will everybody else. Yay! So I'm a policy changer. But what if I'd kept quiet? I wonder how many people who were diabetic have never, had a complaint about it. I didn't complain. I just said, is it possible I could get a couple of pieces of whole wheat toast and some peanut butter? That would be wonderful. Because that's what I wanted. Yes, okay, Jeannie's saying that, yes, sir, once in a while we got cereal, and then the next day a donut, and then the next day perhaps a small muffin. Okay, so this is like, hello, that's fine for people who are not in my situation. Jody's saying, Sal single-handedly bringing down the rate of diabetes in Canada just by asking for what I want, right? So do you all get that lesson? Which is, there is a 50% chance they're going to say, whistle Dixie, which I'm not good at doing, but, I understood that. I was prepared for that to be an answer. So now then, here's another thing. I've got a faucet, I think you call it, a faucet here, and it drips. Of course, now that I'm watching it, it's not doing it. But it does drip rather incessantly. And so I'm going to have a challenge to you all. Can you imagine the sound of a faucet dripping into a stainless steel sink all night? think it's called the Chinese water torture. And so here's the thing. What would you do about it? Jody's saying I'd go mental. Yeah, I obviously spoke to Simon and said, next time you've got your maintenance people on my floor, I wonder if they could just pop in and see what's going on. Yes, good thinking. Jeannie's saying place a towel in the sink. In other words, put something soft between the drop and the stainless steel. What makes the noise is it hitting the stainless steel. Bonus point to Jeannie. I actually put a sponge, I've got a little. I got a little sponge thing. So all I did was put that there. I can't believe it's not doing it now. Oh, well, never mind. They're all going to think I made it up. So, but absolutely, and I like to give you these little challenges because, again, something you probably wouldn't even think of, but now if ever it happens, you'll go, I know how to do that. I don't have to go mental. So here's, by the way, our quotes are thanks to Jody. And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and she does a great job at getting us relevant quotes for whatever it is that we're talking about. And today, she's got this great one here, and it says, challenges are what makes life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. So how many of you know I'm taking this whole experience about being in my new hotel room? By the way, I know you're all waiting for a tour of the hotel room. I did take the footage when I walked in because what I wanted to give you was my instant reaction. However, I know that I've been really slow on doing any editing. And please know that this is not my usual computer. This is a backup computer that I'm using. Thank you, backup computer, for doing, touch wood, for doing so well. My main workhorse computer is actually being de-smoked at the moment. What they do is they take the computer and they put it in some sort of environment where they literally pull any of the smoke residue out of the computer. I think they also open it up to do that. And the reason I think that they do that is because this computer, when I sent it in, was really quite dirty. I use computers a lot, as you know, and I really work the living daylights out of them. And I'm looking at this one and I'm going, I've never seen my computer that clean, which makes me think that they opened it up and then cleaned the whole thing. So my computer has gone, and they said, we'll do everything we can to get it back to you today. And I said, really, don't worry. They only got it yesterday. So I'm really fortunate that this backup computer, I was prepared with a backup computer. All right, so let's start with that. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? Which is, think about what things in your life. Remember when the fire happened? The first things out of my house were not my wallet and my passport, people. The first things to come out of my house were my laptop, my tablet, and my phone. I mean, and the interesting thing is I was talking to the people who are de-smoking all of my equipment. And I said, I think it explains how our lives have changed. I know Jeannie's first thing was to get her, obviously her dog out, and she was smart about the things she took out first. And I think I was smart. The only thing I forgot was that I had real cash in the house, and I had it in the room where the the bathroom where the fan seized and caused the fire. And, it was only a bit later that I thought, oh my gosh, I've got all that cash sitting hidden in that room. Luckily, it was okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things I felt I was prepared for, and then some of the things I am still struggling with. And before I do that, if you happen to have a subject that you'd like me to talk about, please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And let me know, and we'll add it to the list if it's something that I think the viewers would like to see. I thought I'd just quickly mention that in history, October the 2nd in history was quite interesting. Do any of you go back far enough to remember the movie Bridge over the River Kwai? And the reason I talk about that, because it was actually released on August the 2nd in 1958, which is, my era. And in my era, it, won an Academy Award. It was an incredible movie about some prisoners of war and what they did to build a bridge over the River Kwai whilst they were in captivity, and the absolute immaculate attention they paid to building it properly and all those sort of things. Only at the very end they decided to blow it up after years of hardship and everything else to build this bridge. They, at the very end, they blew it up so that it wouldn't be of value to the Chinese. So it was an incredible story. Alec Guinness, I think, was in it, but it was released this day, back in 1958. Now, obviously, that's my time more than some of you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how prepared are all of you. I asked this question last week. How prepared are you for all the negativity that will happen between now and the election? But now, how prepared are you for the total chaos that's about to come down the line? I believe, and I want to say this, I believe that this election will be won before the day of the election. I believe that every one of you that goes out and votes, that you can vote and goes out and votes before the election, will probably be the people who sway the election one way or the other. So I just want to say that, if you thought it was chaotic before, you guys, it's really chaotic now. So just literally, if you still have the ability to do a mail-in ballot, and I heard yesterday that in Texas, they've got some counties that only have one place that you can put in a mail-in ballot. They've restricted the number of places down to one. That means if you don't have a car or the availability of one, you can't get to where you have to put that mail-in ballot. I don't know about you, but that is pretty darn nasty to me, to my mind. You should be able to put a mail-in ballot in more than one place in a county. But there we go. I also want to say, how many of you are prepared for all the discussions that are going to go on? And how many of you are really getting yourself in the space, which is everybody is entitled to their opinion, even if I totally disagree with it. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. By the way, for those of you who are going, what is going on with Sal's watch? It actually broke the night of the fire. And what broke was the bit on the watch that attaches to the strap. I actually had a spare strap, so I put a spare strap on to try and make it work. But it is actually the watch itself when it got pulled. At the moment, I've got Plan B. I think it's a very interesting fashion statement, don't you? Yes, Jody's saying right there, the election is skewed. It's not a level playing field. And I think, again, we need to have all these things come to light and so that we can go, this must not continue to happen. This is insane. But again, I would say, are you prepared to get even more frustrated? Because it is what it is. And it's going to be a cluster. Whether we like it or not. And I assure you, living in Canada, we are deeply concerned about what you guys are up to. We were deeply concerned just before, but now it's even more so. Yes, exactly, Jeannie. We may disagree, but we also have common decency. So we can have some discussion. And I would think, we have Thanksgiving before you guys. We have our Thanksgiving next week. And, it's just like, I want to talk to you a bit over the next few weeks about, are you prepared for all these discussions? I know your Thanksgiving is after the election. So our election, we're all going to be talking about your election. And we actually have one in October, but do you think anybody's talking about it here? No, we're all talking about yours. And oh, interesting. Kimmy's saying, I'm going to the poll because they are making people in my town sign and bring it in. And I thought that the ballots were supposed to be private. They are. Never mind. It is what it is. So let me talk a little bit then. How many of you feel you are prepared, for example, for Thanksgiving? Hi, Samantha. Good to see you. Oh, Samantha's saying, I faxed my ballot request in from Canada. This election is going to be an absolute mess. It will look like Trump won on the night of the election. Ballots will be coming in for days. I think, from what I gather, it could be weeks. I think that some of them, I think, it will take weeks and then, days, and then it will take even longer to get them all counted properly. So, okay, I'm just saying, Kimmy's saying here, you also have to say whether you are Democrat or Republican. That sounds, see, which state do you live in? I thought that was meant to be private as well. Okay, so Jeannie's saying she's already asked some of her friends what they're doing for Thanksgiving, and she got many different answers. So that's what I want to know is, we in Canada, ours is, literally next week. I guess you all want to know, what am I going to do for Thanksgiving? Well, I've decided to take Yvonne and Wade out for dinner for Thanksgiving. But I'm pretty certain that, my newly found friend, Betty Ann, who is my new neighbor, is going to probably find a way to feed me. I've got more about that in a moment because, she really is quite something. So let me get back to the prepared and unprepared. From what you've heard about the fire, what is it that you heard that you thought, wow, she was so prepared? Was there anything that you went, wow, I wish I could be that prepared for something like that? So did any of you feel that when you heard the story? And what I want to do is I talk about these things. What I want you to please do is not hear this as a judgment, right? Not hear it as a judgment. Hear it as, that is what prepared would look like for me, and I want to start heading towards it now. Even if you are putting little things in place for the next 2 years, all right, don't see it as a judgment that you haven't done it properly. See it as, okay, that's what I would like to have in place as well. Jeannie's saying, every year I purchase a smoked turkey and make all the fixings. Yeah. How many of you going, that might, that would be a challenge. I think I'd rather go out. By the way, I've been out to 3 different meals in restaurants, and I'll talk about that as well. That it's like, okay, apparently this is my challenge, to get brave enough to go into restaurants. Jeannie's saying, I felt worried that you stayed inside so long. I was happy you saved your home and other homes, but I feared for you. Yes, not to be recommended to stay in, but also remember that I have a particular mentality. Yeah, I miss Sharon. For those of you who don't know, Sharon's the one that said she came in for a laugh. And she said, I missed my unique opportunity to smoke a turkey. If I'd had it in the house when the fire went up, it would all be smoked by now. Yeah, as is everything else I own, Sharon. And again, You cannot imagine. You know, even when you drive up to my house a week later, you can still smell the smoke coming off the house. That was very, very droll, as they say, Sharon. Very droll indeed. Well done. So in what way did any of you feel when you heard the story, did any of you think, wow, that was amazing that she was that prepared, or that she did that. So that's what I want to talk about. Were any of you impressed with the amount of insurance that I had? And when I say the amount of insurance that I had, I did not do the cheapest way to insure my house. I actually paid through the nose to pay for it to be literally fully insured for full replacement value for the house itself. I insured it for exactly the amount of money I spent on it, plus the contents I over-insured as well. How many of you before the fire would have thought, you don't need to insure that much? And how many of you now are going, wow, thank goodness you were that heavily insured? Jeannie's saying you were brave and you were calm. Okay, so Jeannie, were you there to see how brave I was, or did it sound like I was brave? Because you understand, there was a moment when I was standing there going, and I just, short words. And what do I do now? So, and then, I have to say this with tears in my eyes right now. I have to say this, that when I looked at the flames, I remember going, it's you or me. I'm going for my extinguisher. Now, do you all know how many of you were impressed that I knew how to use my extinguisher? Remembering that I used it incorrectly, and by so doing probably saved my life. Okay, so an extinguisher, first of all, have you all got fire extinguishers in your home? At least one. Okay, Jeannie's saying insurance is so important. Yes, and I want you all to understand, and I know what you're saying, Sal, I can't afford the proper insurance. Okay. Kimmy's saying it's so hard to understand insurance policies. Absolutely. And Kimmy, know that insurance policies are written so that they can pay you as little as possible should what happened to Jeannie and myself happen to you. All right, so that's why I over-insure. Jeannie's saying she was so worried about getting her dog Misty out safely. Absolutely. And her food. I totally understand that. So, Kimmy, the only thing I have to say about, and I don't think any of us, unless we are legal people, understand insurance policies well. And therefore, what you need to do, I asked some very important to me questions when I was doing the insurance policy. This means if my house would, an earthquake happened or whatever, I would get exactly the replacement value of my house, regardless, right? And that I literally kept asking the questions. Samantha's saying, yes, I was surprised, but only because the insurance didn't give you any trouble or excessive hoops to jump through afterwards. No, I do not have an extinguisher, but you sure have inspired me to get one. Good. You understand, if I have inspired you to get a fire extinguisher because I saved my house with mine, and it was old. It wasn't even up to date. It was an old one. I saved my house with it. 1/3 had problems, but really structurally very little damage. Jeannie's saying, my only shoes fell apart after a few days because of where I stepped. Yes, I want to talk to you about, you saw some of the clothes that I bought, but I forgot that I was going to have to send clothes out to be washed. That's another problem. So I've had to get more clothes, as you can see. Sharon's saying, I'm lucky. A childhood friend is an insurance agent. I went to him and asked him to protect me, and he always has. That is smart. Find somebody in the business. Ask everybody you know. Do you know anybody that's in the insurance business? Hi, Erin. Good to see you. Do you know anybody in the insurance business? Samantha's saying, I'm a paralegal, and I still don't understand my insurance policy. That's written that way, Samantha. It's written so you don't know what you're getting. By the way, so that you all know, because I know some of you were concerned, it's a week later, and I did get a check yesterday. A dirty great check, quite honestly. They bought me, hand-delivered to me, a check for $10,000 yesterday to cover my immediate expenses and my immediate accommodation. That doesn't mean that's all they're going to pay me. That means it is to cover the immediate costs. And I was pleased about that because, as you can imagine, I was running up my credit card quite long. So they why am I crying? Wonder what that was that made me cry. I don't know what, it'll be interesting what caused that inside emotionally. That I got the money, I think, because I was, So here's the question. Do you want to know how much I spent before they brought me the check? And the reason I say that, I don't know what Jeannie's experience was, but between clothes and accommodation, I had already spent just on $3,000 in a week. And you cannot be prepared for that unless you know somebody that's been through it. Jeannie, I don't know what you spent in that first week, but and I haven't been shopping, at the most expensive store in town. I've done all my shopping literally in Walmart. All my clothes are from Walmart. And I did say to the insurance guy when he bought me the check, I said, I do need to tell you, I've just bought everyday clothes. I have not bought any go out clothes. And that may need to happen. So what I want you to have a look at is please have another look at your insurance policy and know what you are covered for. And if you don't understand it, take it to somebody you know that can read legalese. And, somebody who can read legalese will be able to read it and give you the nuts and bolts of it. By the way, I would also go to my insurance agent and say, this is all legalese, just so that I really know what am I covered for and what aren't I covered for. Jeannie's saying a friend paid for the first week in a hotel. There you go. So that was very kind of your friend. And you paid her back when you got the money. So I did have enough room on my credit card to be able to cover, those expenses. Jody's saying, I think maybe emotion overthinking. It's you or me to the flames too. Do you think that was a bad thing or a good thing? Lingering emotion. Yeah, I must admit, I took that quite personally. You think you're going to burn my house? Think again. I must admit. Hi, Benji. Good to see you, honey. Big hugs. And thank you for letting me talk to the girls this week. It was just made my week. So, all right. So again, think about this. If you don't understand your insurance policy, could I please beg you to get to somebody that you are paying money to be insured, and get them to go through that policy and ask all these questions. If something happened to my home, am I totally covered or partially covered? By the way, what am I not covered for? For example, if there's an earthquake and your whole house drops into a chasm, are you covered? If you're a renter and something catastrophic happens, are you covered to be housed, while they're fixing it? Or if you're not, is the person who is renting to you, are they covered in some way that if something catastrophic happened, that you would be covered? Yes, that's a good point. Kimmy's saying they always want money to read the policy. No, if you are with they, quite honestly, it is their responsibility to explain the policy to you. And they are not, as far as I know, they are not if they try to charge me to explain my insurance policy, I assure you I'd be going to the insurance policy board. They have a governing body, and I go, do you know that I have an insurance policy with this XYZ, and they wanted to charge me to explain it to me? Or I take that to the press. I mean, I would not let them go that route. If they want to do that, you just go, hey, I'm paying you money for this insurance policy. I have the right to know what's in it. End of story. End of story. Okay. So, number one, do you have a fire extinguisher in your house? Remember, it saved me. Number two, are you insured in a way that you want to be? Or did you just at the time accept those, the cheapest one you could get? And again, don't say, but Sal, I can't afford to do this the right way. Say to yourself, I am working towards being able to do it better. Right? That's all I ask of you. At the moment, if you're only insured this much, work to getting that much better. Lawyers do charge money, but you're not going to a lawyer to explain the insurance policy. You're going to the insurance provider. They do not charge you to read their policies. All right. So how about Jody saying, how can you make an informed decision on what you don't understand? Charging to read it must be illegal. I would think so as well. So that's why I'm a little, confused with Kimmy's comment. But I do agree with Kimmy. If she thinks she's got to take it to a lawyer to explain, yes, that would cost you money. But, your insurance company needs to explain it to you. Here is something else I wasn't prepared for. I wasn't prepared for the fact that, remember, I moved from my house to the new one, and I canceled my previous policy. What I didn't know was when I canceled my previous policy, they also had a change of staff, and they kept charging me for the policy on the house I've already sold. Now, that came about, I don't think I've talked to you about that. Now, reality says, was it my responsibility to have picked that up on my bank statement? Absolutely. Hold on a second. Let me just see what's being said here. Yeah, Kimmy's saying, that's what I said about the insurance policy. Right? It's way too much money to pay at this time. When will it be the right amount of money to pay? All right, because you never know when you're going to need it. Did I know I was going to need my insurance policy this quickly? No, I didn't know that. There is no right time, right? Jeannie's saying we had inherited some very fine Oriental rugs. A rug cleaner washed them several times and made it mostly okay. Our insurance company is paying a fortune for the rug cleaning. Yes, and by the way, if when they finish, Jeannie, it still isn't clean, you can get them to redo it. I just need you to know that. If you are covered for that, I was told quite categorically, so if we return stuff to you that we think is clean and you get it into your environment and find out it still smells of smoke, you just let us know. We will redo it. Going, okay. So, all right, two things. Extinguisher, make sure you're insured. Life insurance is a whole different thing. I actually don't carry life insurance. I don't carry life insurance. Because I don't really have anybody that I, that's giving money to somebody else. So I don't want life insurance. I want to protect what is important to me. And, it's not about passing money on to somebody else. Right. Jeannie's saying, and some rights just didn't make it. Yeah. And they will have had to have helped you with that. All right. So now then, coping with your mind. We've talked about this a little bit, but how many of you know that this coping with my mind, all 2 brain cells that are left, is a daily struggle for me? All right. I know that you probably look at me and think, wow, isn't she incredibly calm about it all and handling it all so well, and whatever it is that you've made your assumption on. But you do know I get up every morning and realize I'm in a hotel, not my home. I get up every morning and know that my life was boxed up and taken out after I spent 7 months unboxing it. And, I'm going to tell you something now that's going to make you angry. So you're all going to take a deep breath, I hope. And the reason it'll make you angry because you care about me. I got a call from the manager of the community in which I live and asked if she could meet me at the house. And this was 2 days after the fire. And I said, sure. So I went over to the house and I met her. And boy, she started on me. You've got 2 sheds. You're already meant to have 1. You need to get rid of 1. You need to weed your vegetable garden better. And she had this whole litany of stuff. And I wish that you'd been a fly on the side of the shed to watch me, because you all know what I was thinking. And I knew, and you guys know me pretty well. I could cut somebody off at the knees very quickly if I needed to, and I could really be rude if I wanted to be. But I tried to give that up. And what I did is I literally, as she was telling me this stuff, I said, you do know I've just been through a devastating fire, less than 48 hours ago. And you do know that I bought the property with 2 sheds on it. And they, to the best of my knowledge, had been here for some time. And I thought, don't even get into it, Sal. Don't get into it. Stay, just say, and what I kept saying to her is, I hear you. I didn't say I agree to do it. I said, I hear what it is that you want. And I said, what is it about my vegetable garden that's a problem? Well, look how messy it is. I said, it's called vegetables, That's called chives, and that's called parsley, and that is, and she said, but it looks messy. I said, it's messy because I'm leaving them to grow seeds so that I'll have seeds for next year. It's not messy. It's sustainable. Jeannie's saying, I saved York as a husband somewhat by fixing a small patio with 2 chairs. Yes, mental health-wise. Yes, and so that he could sit outside. Otherwise, he felt awful every day in the apartment. It just wasn't our home. Absolutely. So, yes, and Jeannie's saying she lost most of her just planted garden, right? So what I need to tell you was, can you imagine how much I had to control my mind not to tell her in 2 words that meant go away? I want you to know it was a really big struggle to cope with my mind. And I kept saying, Sal, don't even go there. What I said to myself is, check with the realtor and then have the realtor check with their lawyers, just because you hadn't got time to do all that. And I've already set that in process. I've already spoken to my realtor and said, can you guys check on this, what the legality is of this? And I also talked to the people that have lived in where I live quite a long time. And I said, how long has that shed been there? And the shed has been there for over 6 years. And the manager said they didn't get permission to put it there. And the people who've been there a long time said, yes, they did. So, but you understand how the way I coped with my mind was to say, I don't need to deal with this. I can say, I hear you, but I don't have to do anything. Jeannie's saying, biting my tongue, that hard would have been a big problem. I have a mouth. I have a mouth too. Jeannie, we all do. But the thing is this, do you all see, I hope by my example, that saying what I really felt wasn't going to help me at all. It was just going to get me more stressed out because I would have been embarrassed about it later, that I'd lost control. You see, I guess that's the space I'm in these days. I'm in the space where I don't want people, I don't want to lose control because of what other people do. My whole goal is to keep my peace, regardless of what slings and arrows they are, sending my way. That is what I work on every day, because that to me is a judgment or a benchmark, if you like, of my emotional intelligence, right? If they can say whatever they like, right? If I choose not to react to it now. All right, so Jeannie said you were kind-hearted, better at this than I. Well, that's why I wanted you to hear the story. And Sandy's saying, right, I would have asked her if she thought I should be pruning my garden right now at this time. Yeah, there were all sorts I want to tell you, Sandy, there were all sorts of things I wanted to say. And I wanted to just look at her and go, are you serious? This is less than 48 hours from a life-threatening situation, and just all the story, and you're going to have this conversation. I mean, really. So, keeping polite was almost impossible if I had lost control of my mind and let my anger take over. Do you all get that? It wasn't that I wasn't thinking it. I even went a step further. I was quite proud of myself. And she kept saying, well, the owner says this, that, and the other. And I'm pretty sure that it wasn't the owner. Pretty sure it was my neighbor. Not my nice neighbor, the other one. But what I kept saying was, I understand you're just the messenger, so I will try very hard not to punish you. And that's all that I kept saying. It's the only way I could keep control. Sandy's saying, I think a well-worded letter to the management company is in the future. Yes. What I want to do is make sure I understand legally what the facts are. I'm getting somebody who's got more than 2 brain cells working at the moment to read through the document that I signed to see, did it say that I was not allowed to have 2 sheds? Because if what I signed didn't say that, then they can go whistle Dixie. If it said that in that document, then I signed it. Different story. Plan B then. And by the way, she did say you can choose which one. Yeah, I thought weeding the garden was really an important task after a major fire. Yeah. So I found this quote, and it said, you do understand that it's totally impossible for us to be totally prepared for anything that life may throw at us. We all appreciate that, I'm pretty sure. But I found this interesting thing, and I looked up about being prepared, and it said, being prepared can reduce fear, anxiety, and losses that accompany disasters. Communities, families, and individuals should know what to do in the event of a fire and where to seek shelter during a tornado. Now, I was saying to Benji that I thanked him so much for letting me talk to the children, because this week I got a chance to talk to the kiddies, and I told them about my fire. Because I'm and I asked permission of Judy first, whether it was okay if I could talk about it. And she said, absolutely. And so then when I was talking to them, I asked them, did they know what to do in a fire? Right? And, and I didn't tell them what to do, but did they know what to do? And if they didn't, they needed to talk to mommy and daddy about that. And then I said, because most children, wouldn't necessarily think about that, but what if you were upstairs and the stairs were on fire? And, again, does mommy or daddy have a special ladder that you can throw out of the window so you can escape? And if not mommy and daddy, I didn't say that, but, that was the point. You might want to get one. Because if the only exit point, egress, I think, in the house is the staircase, then you understand it's important to have something that you can get out of, a 2-story thing. And also to do a fire drill and teach the children how to use it, I think is really important. So I did use it as a teachable moment. And then I just literally went through it very quickly, didn't spend a whole lot of time at all. And then we played a great game. And actually the game was more fun to them than I thought it would be. What I had them do was to get a bowl. They got a bowl from the kitchen eventually. They got a bowl, and I told them all to go and get a pair of socks. Yeah, rolled up. And now the trick was they had to stand in different places in the living room and get their socks into the bowl. Well, you have no idea how much laughter and fun they had doing that. I mean, I gave up. I gave up even trying to talk to them or do anything else because they were just having such fun with the game. And then they got really smart. They decided to get a smaller bowl, see if they could still do it. You see, you just have to get them started. They'll make up their own game. And it was so much fun to watch them. I just sat and laughed. And I just went. Now you're saying, how did you think of that? So I was thinking, what would I like to do? All right, let's have a look at this. This is a nice quote as well. Nature ensures joy and pain, right? Joy and pain to everyone. When you are only expecting joy in your life, you can't handle pain. And any painful episode will seem to be even more painful to you. However, when you are mentally prepared for pain, it can't make you suffer easily. If most people suffer, it's because they're always expecting pleasure and happiness in their life. Hence, when suffering knocks on their door, they are unprepared for it and experience immense pain. Yeah, Kaylin, so good to see you. For those of you who don't know Kaylin, he comes from way back when. Kaylin, yes, thank you so much. And it was so lovely to see your name on the comments this week. Yeah, the manager's timing was awful. Just out of courtesy after a major threatening event. Absolutely, I agree with you. But it is what it is. And that's why, I kept saying to myself, Kaylin, don't get upset. Don't get upset. Don't let her spoil. You've done so well to keep calm and to keep in control. By the way, I spoke to my doctor yesterday. For those of you who are not part of the fitness group, you all know that I was really scared to do my A1C test. That's the test they do once every 3 months to find out. I think it was Beth or somebody that described this so beautifully to me. They said, hi, Jamie, good to see you. That, you have like a storehouse inside your body where they put sugar. Right? And, as long as you can get your sugar into the storehouse, you're fine. It's when the storehouse, overwhelms and has to send the rest of the sugar running around with your bloodstream that it's a problem. And I thought that was an absolutely brilliant explanation of it. So that with all the stress and everything else, and moving, I want to tell you, living in a hotel, it's not easy to eat well. And I give full credit to Benji, when he traveled so much, how well he ate. And I now know why he went out every day and bought fresh food, because really that's what you have to do. So I looked at it and went, it was perfectly worded. So I went to go and do my A1C, and I actually phoned the doctor's office and spoke to the receptionist. And I said, Carol, do me a favor. Just warn Mark that my A1C is probably going to be high, because I thought it would probably be high to start with, but then I had a fire. And she said, you had what? And anyway, when we talked about the fire, and I said, so that cortisol and, the not such good food, I'm probably going to have quite a problem. Yes, Jamie, and we've already had prayers up for the President and First Lady. We started with that, so thank you for putting that in as well. Yes, Jeannie's saying, in contrast, the Hilton staff understood our pain and were extremely kind and patient about everything. That's been my experience as well. Seems they've had several people who've had a fire and stayed at their hotels. Yes, that's what I felt as well. They have been exceptionally helpful. So I decided I was going to go and do my A1C, because I thought better now than later in the fall. So I went, and I don't mind telling you, I was good and scared. And I'm delighted to tell you that it was 5.9, which means I was a way better than I expected. And my doctor's receptionist said he's going to want to talk to you about the fire as well. He's going to want to hear your voice. And I'm going, why would he want to hear my voice? Anyway, so he phoned me. And he goes, tell me about the fire. And I did. And I said, I told him about my blood pressure. I said, my blood pressure was slightly elevated. He said, how much? I said, about 7 points over normal. And he said, uh-huh. And I said, my oxygenation, they told me was great. But they did give me 3 lots of oxygen just to make sure. And he said, yeah. And I said, but they checked my lungs backwards and forwards and inside out, and could find nothing wrong with my lungs, immediately after the fire. So he just gave me, uh-huh. So I said, they did seem a bit surprised that I was as calm as I was. And he said, I'm not surprised. I said, what? He said, I'm not surprised. You're a calm person. You don't overreact to things. So here's my question. Would your doctor say of you, you are a calm person, you don't overreact to things? And if not, why? Do you understand that the reason he needed to hear my voice is because he knows what I sound like when I'm in control? I think that's what it was. He wanted to hear, did I sound normal? And so when he said that, tears in my eyes, I said, thank you very much indeed. He said, it's true. I said, you're probably not surprised then to hear that I went in and fought the fire so I could save my house. And he said, no, I'm not surprised. I said, and I did know I shouldn't. He said, yeah. It doesn't surprise me at all. It's who you are. He said, but the other thing is this, you're not stupid. Therefore, you only fought it for as long as you felt that you were safe. I said, that's true. As soon as I thought, that it was trouble, I got right out of it. He said, exactly. He said, you're not stupid. So here's the thing. If you don't think that your doctor would say that about you, what do you need to change? And what would you like to change? Would you like to get more calm and not let somebody once told me, be a weeping willow. The reason the weeping willow is so pretty is it bends with the wind, right? It doesn't stand solid to be knocked over. It just bends and let the wind go over the top of it. And then it bends the other way. Do you get what I'm saying? It's when we are so inflexible that everything affects us. And I would challenge you all. I'm hoping that the fact that you're still viewers, that part of what you are learning is how to do that. And if you'd like me to talk more about that, I would gladly will add it to more, that we keep doing that sort of work. Sandy saying, in my case, first get another doctor. Easier said than done. Yeah, it's funny you should say that, Sandy, because I moved away from where this particular doctor was. I moved away and used another doctor. And then the doctor I had missed 2 or 3 major things, enough that my life was on the line. And what I did is I drove all the way back to that original doctor and I said, I know that I moved away and you're probably angry at me for doing that, but yeah, I need you to help me. And he got angry with me, Sandy. He got angry with me and said, so when you don't have a problem, you let the other people deal with you, but now you've got a problem, you want me back again. And he was quite angry. And I looked at him, as you all can imagine, and I said, Mark, I need you to get a reality check going. I said, remembering your Hippocratic oath, I said, could you do me a really big favor and tell me whether you're going to continue to punish me for something that is beyond my control, quite honestly, and see that the reason I'm back here is because I trust you more than the idiot I've been dealing with. And I need you to save my life, if you can. So, the rest of it, quite honestly, just tell me if you want to do that. And if you don't, just be big enough to tell me and I'll go and find somebody else. And, he looked at me and he went, you've got to be the only person that can talk to me like that. And I said, good. What was the answer, by the way? But I called him on it. Your Hippocratic oath says you need to be ready to help me if that's what I need. And he blamed the Canadian healthcare system and all sorts of things. And I'm thinking that maybe a bridge is a good answer to my problem right now because they've all missed so many of my symptoms, and I just looked at him and said, do you want to help me or not? Stop wasting my time. I really don't have time for you to be punishing me right now. So Kimmy's saying, I've learned a lot from these broadcasts. That's great, Kimmy. I'm glad to hear it. I have too, right? Jody's saying, I'd like to be able to keep my presence of mind with critical thinking during a crisis. Jody, could you write down critical thinking for me? Because that's the second time that's come up this week for me. My neighbor also said the same thing. And to have less fear overall. I fear because I'm vulnerable in mobility. Absolutely. And Sandy's saying, good for you about the doctor. They work for you. Yes, that's how I see it. So do my insurance agents, Kimmy. My insurance agents, I am paying them for a service. I am entitled to know what that service is. Kimmy's saying, I think I might have figured out why I have the asthma attacks, mostly at night. It could be nocturnal anxiety and panic attacks. Yes, it could also be sleep apnea. So, get these things checked out. So, I would like to think about that and see whether we can. Critical thinking came up in a conversation where my neighbor said to me that that's what she would love to be able to do, is the critical thinking. And I would like to do a program or two about that, just so you all understand what it is and why it is important in my life. Sandy's saying, yes, I feel like I'm on the right road. I very often think, what would Sal do? I'm getting there. Now, I need you to know, guys, you do know I am not the be-all and end-all, all right? But, when you can keep the emotion out of it, and, I quite often think, what would Benji do? Why? Benji has to be one of the few people that I know that doesn't let the emotion get in the way of anything. He just deals with the facts. And by the way, when I was trying to make a major decision that was difficult, I phoned him and I said, hey, Benj, the reason I'm calling you is because you will give me a straight answer. That's what I need right now. I don't need you to give me the right answer. I just want to know what your straight answer is. And he said, well, why don't you phone your realtor? I said, because they won't give me a straight answer. Do you understand? I like a straight answer because I can deal with the truth. That's the other thing. Can you deal with the truth? Right? If somebody turns around to you and says you were underinsured, can you deal with that truth? Yes, Kimmy, thinking, and being calm, quite honestly, saved me a lot this week. But there's more coming. So first of all, how have I coped with limited funds in terms of, has this been of any benefit? I can assure you, this is just my experience, people. When you have a fridge this size, you don't buy a lot. And I want to tell you, one of the greatest things was actually to get some real food in there. When I say real food, fruit and vegetables. I cannot tell you how much I must have changed, Jody. Thank you. I must have changed because one of the things I kept going is I've got to have some fruit and vegetables. I cannot keep eating this junk. And I'll talk to you about the junk. So the other thing is I have wasted very little food. All right. So now I'm rethinking my dirty great fridge and my dirty great freezer because I'm going, this is what I call the European way of living, right? They have a fridge. This would be the family fridge. And the reason they only need a fridge this size is because they buy fresh every day. So all they need is food for the day. Talking about vegetables made me want some. You're probably not surprised. So how many of you, if you look at your fridge, how many of you can see that you've got way too much in there? Wow, that's interesting. Jody is smiling. That's myself. Options, not excuses. On which subject, Jody? Where did you hear that? Please excuse me. All right, so Kimmy's saying very true. That is what I'm using right now. Sometimes I think we should keep a hotel fridge and cancel the bigger one. Yeah, and that's what I'm finding. I've eaten very well this week since I went out and got fruit and vegetables, and I got them in little containers, and I've stopped for a large part eating the junk. Benjamin Franklin said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Okay, so we got fall coming, people. We got fall and winter, unless you happen to be Lauren or somebody else living in the southern hemisphere. And so I would ask you, what do you need to be prepared for? So that you don't end up going, oh, I should have done that. Jody said food. Oh, about the options, not excuses. You could easily have kept on the junk because you had an excuse to. You know something? I could feel it in my body, Jody. I really could. I could feel it in my body that it was just like, if I keep eating this stuff, I'm going to keep wanting it. Sandy's saying, I think we went through that when our fridge died and we lost everything. Yeah, Kimmy's had that happen as well. Now we shop smarter. I definitely am going to be shopping smarter when I get back eventually. So, again, think back to the comment I made earlier. If an emergency happened to you, do you have an emergency fund anywhere? That would, I said to you that the first week cost me $3,000. And that wasn't because I was being exorbitant. That was just that I needed clothes to wear. I didn't have to buy makeup, but, yeah, I did. Deodorant was it? Yeah, I didn't have to, but yeah, I did. So, you look at it and go, if you haven't got 3,000 stuck away, you may want to start saying, I don't care if I only put away $10 a month. I'm going to start an emergency fund. Okay? And the easiest way to do it, just from my experience, is to make it automatic payment. In other words, if you know that you've got a disability check or something coming in, that automatically 10% of it goes into the emergency fund until you've got that topped up. The other thing that I found was that I have been dealing with overload of things that need to be done. You probably can imagine that, right? You can imagine that there are an awful lot of things that I need to do. And you remember I said about that insurance company who I canceled my insurance on my other house, but they continued it. And, the funny thing was, when I realized what had happened, I said to them, that's devastating, that I actually canceled it. And it wasn't ever canceled. Now, the funny thing was, in my mind, my thinking was, but, Sal, you're responsible for that because you didn't check that it was going through your bank. And, I just happened to hit the right person on the right day, because the person at the other end said, I feel terrible because it happened when I took over the job and there were no notes left to say that you canceled that policy. So it was never canceled. And by the way, I just got $500 back into the bank when I most need it right now, for the amount that I have paid on that policy that should have been canceled. So sometimes there is some good that comes at the same time as the bad. And that's what I want to make sure you know about. So dealing with one thing at a time. The whiteboard I cleaned off today, but I literally every day write the things that I want to deal with on the whiteboard. Now, I cleaned it all off because of the broadcast. But before I did, I took a picture of people because I'm not stupid. But, it's like every day I go, that's what I need to focus on. And I put them in order of importance. In other words, if I only did one thing today, it's going to be the thing that's at the top. Jeannie's saying, question. I heard that many deodorants are bad for the environment, so I decided to buy something better. I tried Tom's, which lacks a lot of the bad stuff. Does anyone have a good brand? I actually made my own before. What is the whistling noise? It is the air conditioning. So I actually made my own, Jeannie. What I did a bit of research into, what is in deodorant. And I like I don't know about the rest of you, I like the gel type one. And what I read was actually very interesting. And so just before the fire, I actually had been for about a month making my own gel deodorant and using it. And it was working really well. So what did I use? I used a mixture of moisturizer, a little bit of aloe vera gel, and some rubbing alcohol. Now, remember that rubbing alcohol, if you have shaved, you're going to know about it, right? If you still shave your armpits a lot, right, you're going to know about it if you put rubbing alcohol on there. But quite honestly, if you do the research, and I challenge you to do the research because I did, quite honestly, it's very easy to make your own deodorant. The other thing I did, just so that you know, is I also thought about that, and I had talked to Jody about the fact that, before I put the good quality shampoo on my hair, I just used regular soap to clean my hair. And you know how terrible my hair looks. But I use, like soft soap to clean my hair, get the gunge off it, and then use the Head and Shoulders type stuff. Well, then I started to think, what's Head and Shoulders? Well, it's an antibacterial shampoo. And I went, antibacterial soap. So by the way, I made my own antibacterial soap as well. It's shampoo. So keep looking at that, because how much money could you save if you didn't have to pay $5 a time for your deodorant? How much money would you save on your shampoo? Have a look at that. Now then, I got to tell you a funny story now. Are you ready for a funny story? Sharon, if you're still there, you're going to love this one. It's about my neighbor. You know that she has just been so wonderful. It's not even funny how wonderful she's been. So the day of the fire, the night of the fire, that she immediately, takes me over and has made a bed for me and everything else. But she put in front of me 5 candy bars to take to the hotel with me in case there wasn't any food there. I don't mean 5 little candy bars. I mean those big ones, where you buy it in bulk. 5 arrows. And because I am Sal, that by the next lunchtime, I had finished 5 candy bars. The diabetic thing. So when I was talking to Betty Ann this week, I said, I just want to check whether I got this right. Were you actually trying to put me into a sugar coma because you thought maybe I'd cope better with that? And she couldn't stop laughing for about 10 minutes. Because who else gives a pre-diabetic person 5 giant candy bars unless somebody wants to put them into a sugar coma? So I just wanted to know, what did I do wrong? Well, she's just laughing like a drain. But I went. She invited me over for dinner this week, and I went for lunch. So I went over for lunch, and guess what? She makes the best homemade soup. So by the way, it wasn't a little bowl of soup. I'm talking a bowl of soup. And so I'm busy with the bowl of soup, and she puts next to me, I think it was probably tuna or something on tuna on top of, fresh bread. It looked really wonderful. But, I wasn't going to have the soup and that, because guess what else she put on front of me? Rice Krispie bars. And I just looked at them, and 3 big chunks of it. I looked at her and I said, so the arrows didn't work. Now we're trying Rice Krispie bars, see if they work better. And she said, I didn't put any sugar in it. I said, seriously, what is marshmallow? But it was just like, you gotta laugh, right? Because she just loves to cook and to feed people. It gives her such pleasure. Now the other thing was, she also offered to do my laundry, which I was very grateful for. And then I have found out that this hotel has a guest laundry. It has a couple of machines and dryers and things. And so I'm glad it made you laugh, Sharon. And so then I, said to Betty Ann, I said, by the way, Betty Ann, the hotel does have its guest laundry, so it's got its own washers and dryers that I can use. And she looked at me. Did you all get that look? What did it mean to you? And it was just like, I said, but I guess I won't be using that. And she said, right. You see, it was so cute. It was just like, but I can help you by doing your laundry. You see, that's who she is. And if I take that away from her, she's not going to be happy with me. Don't you think that's cute? So you see, part of dealing with people is to know that some people just genuinely, like a lot of you, and particularly Jody, hi there, Bernice, they get their jollies out of helping people. It makes them feel good, right? Jeannie's asking, what did I eat at the Chinese restaurant? Okay, it was combination C. Combination C had sweet and sour pork, chow mein, chicken chow mein, and deep fried prawns. Yeah, okay, so I really... that didn't touch me at all, did it? Now then, about the hotel. Okay, so Oh, Erin's saying, I have to say that the weeping willow comment was beautiful. I will have to remember that my family had a connection with willows, and we used to have a willow farm. Daddy used to sell them to florists. I didn't know that. Yes, bend with the wind, Erin. Wow, we had 300 or 400 in a yard at one time. That is amazing. So I hope some of you understood the logic of it, though. All right, which is if you can just bend and let the stupid stuff pass over you. You know, don't try and fight the wind. You know, just like, okay, fine. Just like, just because she said it doesn't mean I have to react to it. Does that make sense? Okay, it's about the hotel. So I, first of all, came to the hotel to find out did they have any rooms with kitchenettes. And I met Simon. And it turned out that Simon was the manager of the front desk area. And what a delightful man in so many ways. He made me feel so welcome. And yes, they had rooms with a dinette and a kitchenette in it. And yeah, and he also, you know, listened to the story about the fire and everything. Yeah, no problem. So I moved. And it's not cheap to live in a hotel that has a kitchenette. There's no doubt about that. It's an expense. But I now have this little tiny house. Right? I have a little tiny kitchen, a little tiny desk that I can sit at. I've got a couch that actually is a sleeper bed, sofa bed. I have a television in front of the couch. Then I have a bedroom and I have a bathroom. So it's like a box, but it's like a tiny house. And I sort of sat and looked at it and I went, well, you know, I could bring in my toaster oven and, you know, and maybe my what do you call it, halogen, you know, I could actually cook quite well here and there'd be a lot of experiments. So I asked Simon, you know, if I decided to stay a little while, you know, could I bring in my toaster oven or buy one, you know, whatever. He said, sure, it's fine with me. Anyway, so that was really cute, but he's been so helpful. I mean, he cannot do enough to help me. But then there is another guy that works on the front desk, and he is Indo-Canadian. And I say that because this is a whole different mentality. And, you know, he's wearing a mask. And I want to tell you, I don't know why, but when he sees me, his whole body lights up. His eyes sparkle, and you can see he's absolutely delighted to see me. And I have no idea why. But, you know, how do you think that feels when you're going through the stuff that I'm going through? And, you know, it feels magical. All right. I almost look forward to going out so I can come back in because of the reception. I actually wrote a thank you to Simon and to I said, please make sure everybody knows this, that, you know, it's like coming home to your pet dog that has unconditional love. I said, when I walk into the hotel, the feeling I get is you guys actually care about me. And I don't care if you don't. You sure do a good imitation of it if you don't. And please carry on, because it feels wonderful. And so it just, you know, to me, it's just amazing. But now, listen to this one. I'm coming back from I went to Save on Foods to go get the good food, what I call the Benji food. You know what I mean? The color, get color. So get it fresh and make sure it has color. So, you know, I get the Benji food, as I call it. And I'm coming back and I've got lots of bags, one in each hand. And as I'm coming through, yes, I compared them with a dog because it was unconditional love. I also thought it was a bad analogy, but they understood what I meant. So anyway, I'm carrying these 2 bags, and as I'm coming towards the entrance to the hotel, the doors that open up, a guest comes out, and he was Asian, but he came out And he took one look at me carrying those bags, and he rushed back to stand to make sure the doors didn't close onto me. And I'm going, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then he said, are you trying to check in? Because you know he was going to check in for me. And I said, no, actually, I'm already checked in. And he said, then you need the elevator? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, I'm on it. And he rushed to the elevator and he sort of wiped it down. And what floor do you need? And it was just like, I don't know what I did to deserve that. But you see, the point that I'm trying to make is there are good people all over the place. Right? And by the way, I found that a smile gets you a lot farther than tears. Think about that. I could be milking this sob story, a great deal, but I'm not doing that. Yes, I agree, Bernice. What a gentleman. And I told him that, funny enough, Bernice. And I said, I'm old enough to still appreciate this sort of stuff. Thank you so much. And, I thought it was wonderful. And so I would ask you to be aware of that a smile and, like AJ, that his whole body just lights up every time he sees me. And I just wave to him as I'm on my way and he waves back. And it doesn't take a lot, people. How about coping with chaos? Can you imagine? This was the funny thing. A week ago, I moved to the first hotel. And in the first hotel, I took with me this is what I owned at the first hotel. But it contained, as you know, my computer, my tablet, my phone in the bag. And my lighting equipment. And that's what I took. And the clothes I stood in the fire with. Now, the interesting thing was by the time I moved here, less than a week later, I actually had a rolling duffel bag with quite a lot in it. And now I have even more stuff. So what I found interesting is how quickly I'm accumulating things. Do any of you relate to that? It was like, so the second week I'm coping with more stuff than I had the first. Jeannie's saying when we left, one of the workers gave us a goodie bag containing a Hilton mug, a toy for Misty, poop bags, and a sticker for the refrigerator about our dog. And Scotty dog cookies for the humans. Isn't that wonderful? Well, I have to tell you, there was something about packing up and moving to another hotel. Can you imagine the emotion around that? Like, it's like, how many times am I going to need to do this? Can you feel that emotion? And I thought, I don't even want to think about it. I just want to deal with this move. So I packed everything up and I moved here, and I've been very happy here. Okay, Sharon, are you sitting down, Sharon? Because you're going to laugh. If you need to go to the washroom first, because you might laugh, just let me know so that I can give you the time. Okay. Well, threw the case on the bed or the duffel bag. I put it inside the closet because it had one of those things that you put it on. Went and sat on the couch and turned on the news, of course. So I'm sitting there, Sharon, and I'm quite comfortable, and I'm thinking, this is very comfortable. And bright. Yeah, I love how bright it is. And that's it. And then suddenly, do any of you remember the song, I Feel the Earth Move? I think it was James Taylor and Carole King. Where I felt the earth move, and I'm going, oh no, seriously, God. An earthquake? I could feel the building move. I'm going, I've got a sense of humor, and then I heard a train whistle. And then I heard the coal train on its way to Vancouver. And that takes a long time. And by the way, for as long as that coal train passes, the building moves like this. And what I first thought was the building only moves as the train goes by, but I forgot how long the train is. The train is miles long, which is the, and of course the first bit of movement is it's on its way. It's before the whistle even goes. You can start feeling that the whole ground is amazing. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if I could live with it very long. And you've probably heard stories of people who live near trains, and they say after a while you don't even notice it. Yeah. Every now and then, if I feel the motion, I go, I think I'll put my coffee down for a while. And I think of it as, I'm going to rock in my chair here for a while. But you can literally feel. Yeah. So I feel the earth move. Now then, you remember last week I bought clothes and one of the items was too big. Sharon's saying, oh, Sal, God never gives us more than we can handle, but sometimes we doubt. I also believe that God has a great sense of humor. Yeah, that's been proven to me time and time again, Sharon. I mean, he produced me. You got to have a great sense of humor to do that, surely. Okay, so how about coping with my feelings? You heard about the anger, about the sheds and the timing of it and everything else like that. So then there was this issue about the outfit that I bought that was too big. I had already removed the tags. And Jody had said to me that maybe Walmart won't do exchanges now because of COVID. So I was ready for all sorts of hassles. But I was not prepared for the hassle that I got. And the problem was not that I took the clothes back or that I had the receipt with me. The problem was the receipt was blurred and they couldn't find the items that I had on the blurry printout. So that's nothing to do with me. That's, but getting angry about that is not fair either because they're trying to do their best and they can't read the receipt. So what they asked is for me to go and get the same outfit again and bring it to them so they could see what was on the tags. Now, this is all stuff I really didn't want to be dealing with, but you know something? Willow, it is what it is. Just go get them the outfit. And I did. And by the way, while I was getting them the outfit, I picked up a few more things for myself to make it pleasurable, and which is what I'm learning to do, all right, is to keep the balance going. So that was it. So I was very joyful that I was able to replace it. And what I bought was, you remember that sort of salmon-y color that I had on last week? I bought the blue one of that. I got the jacket here. So I bought the blue one, which is why I got the blue to go underneath it and the white. What do you think? And so I also, have the tracksuit trousers. So I'm very happy with it. And I bought a pair of shoes. Oh, have any of you found that buying shoes as you get older gets more difficult because your feet spread and so forth? I found out that I cannot get shoes very easily in the size that I now have. I actually need size 11 shoes now. My feet are flattened to that degree. And it was very difficult. You know what I did? I went to the men's section and bought men's number 10 wide runners. Fit perfectly. Fit perfectly. Why? They're longer. Men's shoes are much wider to start with. Don't know why, but they are. And then I bought the wide, and so I'm learning. I felt that was a great achievement that I learned what to do that. Sandy saying blue being my favorite. Yes, to me, as you know, I prefer pretty straight colors. I don't do a lot of busy stuff. I always think that maybe it is who I am, right? I'm pretty straightforward person, so that's why I buy straightforward clothes. Brings out my eyes that are green. So do they look blue when I'm wearing this? But I do need to get some blue eyeshadow now. Oh, Jeannie's saying she ordered good short winter boots. It's on my list. I had to return them because they were too small if I want to wear socks with them. And that's what I'm thinking. I need shoes that I can wear with socks. So that's what I've done. Good. And how many of you know that the whole level of kindness that I've received this week has helped me deal with my feelings? Whether or not Betty Ann wants to put me into a sugar coma or not, you can't get away from the fact that she really genuinely cares, right? And just can't do enough, quite honestly. And why would I take the washing away from her? Seriously. And then how do you think it felt, when I kept looking at the breakfast and going, Sal, you're just going to have to learn not to eat it. And I'm going, I'm not that strong, really. And then I went, well, if you're going to eat it, you're going to have to consume a whole lot more water. And by the way, Jody and all of you, Sandy and everybody else that's diabetic, thank you so much for all you've taught me. Because, I just go, that's really tasty, glug, 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 glug. And I'll have another bite of that, glug, 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 glug. All right, I'll let Betty Ann know that, right? That you'll all send the laundry if it makes her so happy. Yeah, I'm seeing her on Sunday, so I will do that. Clementine, something or other that I can't pronounce, said, my experiences have shown me that when an opportunity bigger than you comes along and you feel unprepared and doubtful, it's important to permit those emotions and let that energy drive you forward to inspire you to move forward. Is there any way in God's green earth that I could have been totally prepared for the devastation that I had, or that Jeannie could have been prepared for the devastation that she had, which was far worse? You see, I want to really thank Jeannie, because I kept saying, isn't it interesting that God gave me all the lessons I need because he sent Jeannie to lead the way? For which I thank you, Jeannie. I think about you a lot when I'm dealing with this. I go, hey, it can't be that bad. Jeannie coped. And then, but the one thing I do say to my friends, which is, just remember, I'm on my own. I don't have anybody to talk to about this, except you guys, of course. But, I'm so thankful for the fitness group people. Thank you so much for continuing to amuse me. And to Jody and Lauren, who are part of my admin group. I really, really want to tell you that without you guys, this will be a lot more difficult. But yeah, Jeannie, thank you so much for all that you've taught me. I want to just be real for a second in terms of coping with fear. I know that it sounds like I've got everything under control, but I do realize that I have some level of fear about returning to the house. Does that make sense? And I don't know if, Jeannie, if you've felt that at all. And, I know intellectually you're all saying, but Sal, it's going to be a much safer house and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But I just want to let you know that I every now and then this little gremlin comes along and goes, I wonder if they're going to replace both the fans. And then I wonder if they're going to replace some of the wiring or all of the wiring. All those sort of things. Hi, ML. Good to see you. So I do have these moments of fears about returning to the house. And I will keep honest with you about that. I would like to say, in terms of coping with change, I am amazed how much we take things for granted. How many of you know that I keep trying to cook something and I'm going, wait, I need a sharp knife. Really. There isn't a sharp knife in the drawer. It's not like my brain. There isn't a sharp knife in the drawer. My gizmos, I can still make crepes, people. I have the ingredients for crepes, but I don't have lemon. Jodie, put it on the list, please, lemon. And it's just like, I was sitting the other day, yesterday, I think, and I thought, I really should clip my toenails. Well, toenail clipper, yeah. No, not so much. And there's something very strange, and I'm certain Jeannie will relate to this. For some reason, this little tiny house bubble in which I live feels safe. Why? I've got people that care about me, that appear to. I want to tell you, they worked heaven and earth to get me high-speed internet, and I don't think they're even charging me for it. Because I was horrified it was going to be $10 a day. And I said, I can't do that. Jeannie's saying, we do not fear it because we miss it so much, but I wonder if we shall have a new home with a good bed and a sofa and a recliner, but not a lot more. Yeah. And you know something, Jeannie? From what you and I have learned, we probably don't need a lot more. Yes, Sharon's saying, I still think of the things that I lost in a tornado 9 years ago. Yeah. And I can believe that. I also have been coping with forgiveness. I was unprepared how much I needed to forgive myself because of that. Beating up on myself is not helping. Beating up on myself for feeling a bit scared is not helping. So I keep just asking myself the question, what do you need to do to feel more safe? And the truth is, let me ask you, oh gosh, Emil said that she's had coronavirus. Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you hear that I was in a fire, Emil? Right, Sharon's saying that she goes looking for things and then wonders where it was before the tornado or after. Yes, and that's, I'm sure I'll be doing the same thing. Jeannie's saying, why are you angry at yourself? You did nothing wrong. Logic doesn't come into it, I don't think, Jeannie. You see, I am a great believer, and forgive me on this, I'm a great believer. It's very important for me to accept the negative thoughts as well as the good ones. You see, I think it's all there for a reason. So I don't cut out the negative. I still allow myself to process them. Do any of you know what I mean by that? So if I feel a little bit scared, I go, yeah, who wouldn't? So, you've been through a death, near-death experience. So, yeah, and, the same thing as that first night, I didn't dare go to sleep. I'm pretty certain I'm going to have lots of those sort of emotions. And I just need to deal with them and move on. But I wanted to be honest with you about that. So when I look at all of this and go, what can we prepare for and what can't we? There's an awful lot in life that we can't prepare for because we don't know it's coming. And Rajni said, The beauty of facing life unprepared is tremendous. Then life has a newness, a youth, and then life has a flow and a freshness, and life has so many surprises. And when life has so many surprises, boredom never settles in you. Yeah, and Jeannie is relating to that. She says, I understand, but I do not know where it's coming from. I get the fear for sure. I had a feeling you probably did, Jeannie. And so look at it. I've had a lot of surprises. I've had to do, I'm unprepared for, well, normally I would go for a walk now. Well, guess what? The walk around the car park here isn't as calming in some ways. It's got traffic going that way and the train on the other side. There's a lot of traffic and everything. So, but walking the car park is, I found out, close to 900 steps. So, if I want to keep healthy, I'm going to need to get out there and get that fresh air. Because part of my mental health is to get fresh air every day. All right. So I think when you look at it, be aware that we will never know all the things that we have to change or all the things we need to be prepared for. When I look at my achievements this week, and let me know what your achievements were this week, by the way. I think it's a major achievement that I'm still sane, that I can still laugh, that I didn't get any secondary reaction to the stress or to the toxins. I'm really working hard at taking one day at a time, not trying to think too far ahead. And I try not to look back. Because if I look back, it's so sad. And if I look forward, it's so frightening in some ways. But I just have to trust that if I keep just going one day at a time, I will make it through. And I really do believe, because that's my belief system, that I'm going through this for a very good reason. All right. I don't know what it is yet. I may never know, but I do believe that somewhere in all of this, I will learn something that I need to learn. It was said that the best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. So again, I would ask you every day before you go to bed, ask yourself, was I a willow today, or did I stand solid? Did I let people's stuff affect my peace of mind, or did I just bend with the wind? I ask myself that every day. How did you do so? Did you keep control of your mind? Because my attitude is, that's the greatest lesson for me. Just keep control of your mind. By the way, it's got a swimming pool here. And part of me is wondering, hey, if I'm going to be here for a month, maybe getting a swimsuit is a good idea. Jeannie's saying, did you know that a willow's roots are very strong? Jody's saying, I did some baking this week. And just getting the basic to-do list finished is like a major accomplishment. Yeah. I want to tell you, if I can just, as you know, Jody, because, you and I talk during the day, but, just knocking one thing off my to-do list feels so good. And some of these things I have on my to-do list may take me an awful long time to clear. And some of them I haven't even started. I haven't even phoned the electricity company or the Wi-Fi at my home. I haven't even started on that sort of stuff. And excuse me. So, I'm just trying to just not worry about it. Any minute now, if I do move into an apartment, I'm going to need Wi-Fi again at the new apartment. By the way, I did find it interesting when I was talking to, I call him Sig, S-I-G, because his name is Sean, the insurance guy. So S-V-T, I, insurance, G, guy. Stig, that's what I call him. So I was saying to Stig about the Wi-Fi, and he said, Sal, if you had good high speed internet at your house, then we are duty bound to give it to you here. You see, you paid to live a pretty near normal existence. And I went, oh, maybe I'll do that. Sharon saying, I've been painting a welcome sign for a friend's birthday and it's felt so rewarding. I'll give it to her tomorrow. You know something, that's part of what I am missing. I also asked Stig if I need anything to make my life happier. Can I get to it? In other words, all the stuff that they've boxed up and will, however they clean it. And I'm thinking, I started to cry almost when I thought about that vanilla extract. And I'm going, where is that now? Will I get to it before Christmas? I probably not. And then I'm thinking, I always make my Christmas cards with my silhouette machine. And I think I'm going to try and get that back, even if I have to buy the other stuff. I think I'd like to have, mind you, then you need the mats and everything else. I don't want to go there right now. Sandy's saying this week has been a sort of holding pattern with my pump starting up. Yes, next week I will be more productive. You know something though, Sandy, are you being kind to yourself? Are you saying it's okay? This is my learning week. Because would it be fair to say, Sandy, that with this week came a certain level of fear? You had what I call the invasion of the body snatchers, right? Your body's been invaded, and that also has an effect on you. And so, I think being kind to yourself in a healthy way is a really good thing. Yes, Bernice is saying she played video games with her hubby. And so I look at it and I actually took myself out to dinner last night. I decided I was going to go out to dinner. Now, want to know why? I found out, this was something else I found out. The insurance does not pay for me to go to Save on Foods and get groceries. They do pay 70% if I go and have a meal. I said, really? That's good to know. So yesterday I went and I had a meal. I just want to get the calculator out here. Now, I'm not looking to gouge anybody, but I'm going, if I now know that they're not going to pay for anything that I put into my fridge, I need to know, how can I do this? So I spent $30 yesterday. That they will refund me $21 of, without the tip. Okay, $21. So I then said, okay, so I ate half the meal. I ordered potato skins and pad thai. And I ate half the potato skins and I ate half the pad thai. And I brought the second half home for another meal. So they will give me back $21 of that. So in effect, I had to pay $10 for that meal. And that meal will last me for 2 complete meals. And so now I'm going to concentrate on not buying too much at the Save On, except for the fresh fruit and vegetables. And things like eggs, things that are healthy for me. And I bought a thing of bacon. But, I'm just, it's like, okay, now I know it's okay. Yeah, $5 a meal. Yes, exactly. And that's the way that I thought about it. That's quite clever. I can do that. and let somebody else do all the cooking. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's like a game. You know me. It has to be a game, otherwise I don't enjoy it at all. All right, so there we go. So the message that I wanted to bring you is that, yes, I was pretty prepared for an emergency without realizing it. But none of us can be totally prepared. I would encourage you to make sure that you are safe. Even my sister said, yeah, she went out and bought a fire extinguisher. Or new ones, because she had old ones. So make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're insured, because it can save, you understand, there is a lot to be thankful for. Right, Bernice is asking what would normally be a very obvious question. Can't you get the fresh fruits and stuff from the hotel breakfast? With COVID, Bernice, they don't do breakfast like they used to. Now you get a little brown bag and it has one apple, a bottle of water, and something that pre-diabetics shouldn't be eating. So no. And in fact, the food at the previous hotel was much better, because you could actually get bacon and eggs, and, they'd make scrambled eggs with sausages and stuff. So, I gained in some ways and I lost in others. But I hear that it's changing because I had a concern about it. So we'll see what comes up next week. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that they do say that if God really loves you, that he tests you. Yeah, he must really love us. I believe that. And the other thing is my experience, once you've learned to overcome one hurdle, he goes, okay, fine, try this one, see if you like it better. So be gentle with yourself. Know that we can never be properly prepared. But are you sort of prepared? Do you have some emergency money, knowing that when you lose everything, as Jeannie did and I did, when you lose everything, that first week is going to cost you about $3,000. Not because you want to spend it, but because that's what it takes to survive. To put clothes on your body. The other thing is, continue to do the work to be emotionally more prepared for the bad as well as the good. You remember what that quote was right at the beginning, that what peace of mind is when you can cope with the bad at the same level that you cope with the good. And I think that is what really helped me. And it was definitely something that I was so impressed with Jeannie during her time, that she really did handle it so well. Bernice is saying, I'm already thinking of a bug out suitcase for me and hubby. We have about 10K in savings. Okay. I have my medical stuff portable too. Important stuff. Yes. And quite honestly, what you think you're going to take out of the house first may not be. You remember what I said? I was sure my wallet and my passport, they were both next to doors, because, I knew that I would grab them and leave. It's not what I did. I grabbed technology before I grabbed my passport and my wallet. So when I return to my house, I'm changing that. I'm changing that in some way that I can, do that. By the way, I don't know if I told you, but the cash money that I had, and I had quite a bit that I'd taken up in case the COVID turned nasty, I handed it over to my neighbor because they've got a safe. And I did say to them, if I hear that you're going to Hawaii next week, I know how you did it. And by the way, my previous hotel had a safe in the room. This one doesn't. So that and so now if I leave the hotel room, I take my passport and my wallet with me, obviously. So there we go. I hope that this has been helpful. Can I ask you, what did you need to hear? If you go, was it worth your time to listen to this? The answer was yes, because what was it that was an aha moment for you? And Jeannie's saying my pocketbook was on the kitchen table. It took several days to find it. Yeah. The one thing I am very grateful for, though, and I've got to say that, is that hang on, I'm just leaning down to show you. I was able to say to the 5 people, my wallet is, because I sent them in to get it, my wallet is red. And don't worry, there's going to be a long lead off it, and then you'll find my keys. But I now know that if I've got my wallet, I've also got my keys. Makes sense. And by the way, do any of you have one of these? And I say that because this was a present from one of my sons. This is a special thing that will cut through your seatbelt. And this bit here, it has a high pressure thing that if you end up in, what do you call it? In water, you can bang this and it will break the window. All right, so Bernice is saying, what I got from this was to be kinder to myself, and things do happen. Yes, remember, treat the bad things the same as you do the good things, all right? They have equal amount of stress on your body. Good things are stressful. I know most people don't think that. As Sandy's saying, making sure that our insurance is up to snuff. Yes, and that you understand what you're covered for. Because if you understand what you're not covered for, you're not going to get angry later when you thought you were covered, but you're not. Jody's saying all of it, many lessons, critical thinking and staying calm. Yes, even though I wasn't totally calm all of the time, Jody, you do know that. But the difference was I controlled the moments of panic. I controlled them. I was able to get past the hamster wheel. And Bernice is saying, is that a spring-loaded hammer? I think that is what it's called. Yeah, smart people. All right, everybody. So here we go. Tonight, I really don't know what I'm going to be doing tonight, but I'll work something out. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of the journey. Jeannie, thank you for leading the way so I would know what the next step is going to be. And, that was the other thing, Jody, I wanted to tell you that when I was talking to Stig, I said, what if I find an unfurnished apartment? And he said, if you find an unfurnished apartment, don't worry about it. Not many of them will rent short term, but if they do, if you find one that will get your furniture out of cleaning and give you back your furniture. So that's nice. And by the way, I obviously gave some thought. Would I rather be here or in a fifth wheel? And I'd rather be here. And the funny thing is, when I saw by the time you've paid for the fifth wheel and the site on which to put it, it's not a whole lot cheaper than being here. And I'm pretty certain if I turned around to the insurance people and said, I actually feel safer here and more comfortable here, they'd probably let me stay here. I did again check how long. We're still waiting for the assessment of the asbestos, and apparently there was lead in the tiling in the bathroom. But he still said, work on definitely 4, maybe 6. At the moment, we don't think it's more than that, but you may need to just let them know it could be month to month after that, because we don't know how long it's going to take. If there is structural damage, it could take 6 to 9 months. So I'm going to treat my home as my gym. I will go back there and do work on it and tidy things up and read and do those sort of things just for the exercise and, to visit and go get the mail and do things like that. So other than that, life is really good. if you think about it. I am happy that my A1C surprised me, and it did. When I checked the figures and I went, what? I think that's the best A1C I've had. You know, and I've been hitting higher numbers than normal. I don't understand that. Yes, Jeannie's saying a month at the hotel was okay for us, stabilizing. I think that's how I feel as well. And will I go stir crazy? Possibly. And I'm aware that, you know, that means I just got to get out and go visit people or do things, you know, that entertain me. And that's okay. You know, for example, I didn't have to go out for dinner last night, but I thought, you know, it'd be a good idea for you to get out of that and go do that. So Sharon's saying you look good and happy. It makes my heart happy. That's good to hear. I have a lot to learn, Sharon, and I have a lot to be very, very grateful for. And that's what I remind myself every day. And I definitely gave thanks that my A1C came through the way it did, but I also know that I need to get really under control to keep it there. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So love you all. We'll see you this evening. Thank you all for being here and for your incredible support. Kimmy, I know it's a sad week for you having lost Yoda, but you know, for all of us who've lost fur babies, you will never forget. It doesn't happen, but you know, the tears will get less. And you know, I think the best advice I ever was given, and I think Nana gave it to me, which was buy a plant and put it where you would most often see Yoda. Okay. And you know, I bought an orchid and put it in the front window of my house where when I drove home, Bud would always be standing there wagging his tail. And I just put this beautiful orchid plant, you know, beautiful one. I put it there. And every day I'd come home and go, why is there oh yeah, I know why there's an orchid there. Hey, Bud. Actually it was Bean. You know, and so that was a gift, and because it changed the mentality, and so I really recommend that. This is DearMamaSal saying thanks for being here. We're a little over time, and we'll see you tonight. Bye bye for now.